Hi, Randy Becker here with some more points to ponder from spiritual persistence. Right now, we are all being challenged to deal with change. I know I keep circling back to this issue of change, but I feel these times are demanding our spiritual consideration of the changes that are swirling around us. At one level, these changes are specific and personal. At another level, they are grand and communal. What can guide us through these changes? Consider this from Rikkity. So why is it so hard for peeps to get the concept of moving toward the universals? Because it means change. Having to let go of the familiar. So there will be grief, and most people try to minimize grief. They do not yet perceive the greater meaning that will come, so they feel like there is loss only. Much of what we are experiencing is very personal. I cannot go out. I cannot see my family and friends. I have to wear a mask. What I'm hearing the most from people in this crisis is framed in I statements about how their personal behavior has been forcefully changed. For many people, this feels like one loss after another. For too many of us, our losses also include the death of family or friends from the COVID-19 virus. These losses feel so personal that it is hard to imagine, much less act on a more universal scale. But it's only in the more universal that real meaning helps us transcend the losses. And doing that is a matter of faith. Back to Rikkity. This then is a point of faith. To believe that more inclusive, more complex, more universal will always mean more meaning. Most of the world's religions teach just the opposite, while their inspirations all taught this. Religions believe in single set patterns, while spiritual explorers always know that there are many routes and all of them good. Can't go far wrong from following a path of connection, but easy to go wrong following a path of differentiation. And most people settle for the single path of differentiation because it promises to be free of loss and pain and grief. The greatest journeys of being will always involve some pain and loss, or else it wouldn't be a journey. It would be a staying while all creation journeys on. If I understand what Rikkity is saying, she's asking us to think beyond our little specific personal realities toward larger meaning. She's calling us to think of ways in which, even in the hardest times of change, we focus on connections, not losses. We are even given a bonus incentive beyond the promise of meaning, that we will not be left behind when all creation journeys on, that we will continue on our path of spiritual development rather than be captive to the familiar and the comfortable. But then she adds in one more thought, a thought of hope, for all of us as we struggle with trying to see those wider connections. I've come this far, so? You think the road stops here? Here be dragons and dogs. So if this is the end of the road, where are those other spirits going? I don't know. So the pundits of faith say the others are going to delusion or a hell of a delusion. They, meaning the others who journey on, are under some kind of spell, and that spell is spelled courage and vision. Those who stop not just to rest, but to stop, have lost vision. And if SP is about anything, it is about the abundance and reality and infinitude of vision. Around that bend is always something more beautiful and wondrous than has been known. So sit it out if you wish, but don't stop. Rest, yes, and no. That's SP. SP in a nutshell. The real hope is not in holding on to what has been, or is, but in risking to follow the journey of being through all its pains and loss. To ask of any movement, any circumstance, any challenge, what larger value can I sense? What greater vision of my own spiritual being can I glimpse? What wider connection is now meaningful to me? Some questions arose in my mind as I read this point to ponder, and I invite you to ponder them as well, and reflect on how Rickity's words help you to find answers. In the present pandemic, what changes have I found the hardest? Why? What would living with those changes mean? Have I ever chosen to try to stop the flow of being and only cling to what has been? How did that work out? How often have I wished to stop, say no more, or conclude I've come as far as I can? Did I find that was even possible and still hold on to meaning? As we think about these points, I'm reminded of that one phrase that keeps coming back to me. Around that bend is always something more beautiful and wondrous than has been known. Ponder on. If what you just heard intrigues you, why don't you subscribe to these YouTube broadcasts so you'll get one every time we have a new one posted. And also like us, we'd appreciate that, and join in the comments below. Come and join in more discussions and explorations about spiritual persistence at sp-blog.org.